Did you guys know we recently hit 1,000 subscribers here on YouTube? Well, we'd actually be at more like 6,000 if the 85% of you returning viewers actually hit the subscribe button. You scroll down just a little bit and there's going to be a subscribe button for you guys right here. You can even hit like on the video or share it with your friends too while you're down there. And our description box down below also has links to all of the different socials I have. And the best part is you can even leave a comment telling me how much you enjoyed the video, or didn't. I don't care, it's your life. Subscribing doesn't take anything but that 1 second of time, and it really helps make sure that you don't miss any of my uploads. So if you are enjoying watching all of my content, it helps you out, and it helps me out. Now that you've done that, let's get back to the video. What is going on, everybody? Ninja Nick, we're back with another round of the Champions League in Yokohama, Japan. This is our first day 2 match. Both of these players, I do believe, are 9-0. That's pretty great, or at least this player on the left is. Looks like we do have a Gardevoir versus Lugia match. Something that I have played quite a few times recently. It seems like Lugia has really picked up in popularity after both this tournament and Worlds and Pittsburgh. There's just a lot of Lugia hanging around in the format now. I do think Lugia is a really good deck. The problem with it is just the sheer inconsistency of the deck. I've mentioned it quite a lot, that it lost a lot of stuff in rotation, but it did gain this Mew EX that you see in the prize cards from 151. So that allows you to copy the attack of one of your opponent's Pokemon, specifically the active one. So with Boss's Orders, which is of course also in the prize cards, it can allow you to copy any of your opponent's attacks. But as you can see in the prize cards there are 3 Curlia in the prizes for this Gardevoir player on the left, and I do believe these are still best of 1 rounds. We do see that timer right at the top in the middle, stating that there are 23 minutes left in the match. That is best of 1 25-minute rounds that they have in Japan. So, and whenever they would tie, they will actually get a double game loss. So they always need to make sure that they know exactly how fast they need to play. And as you can see, this player on the left definitely playing fast there. A lot faster than a normal Gardevoir player would be playing, at least in our neck of the woods. But one of the good things about the time rules in Japan is that it really does favor a deck like Lugia, where you don't really have to make too many complicated decisions, and it's like either you get the Archeops or you don't, and either you hit hard or you don't. Some of these decks are, instead of playing the single strike version, they are playing pure colorless, which it looks like that is what this list is. As you can see, there is the Snorlax in there, as well as 1 or more reversal energies. The reversal energies are to be, it looks like just 1. Reversal energy is to be used with the stage 2 Luxray that says that you can bench it from your hand if you are behind on prize cards. So if you're currently losing on the current board state, you can just bench Luxray the same way you would a basic Pokemon, even though it's a stage 1. You can use Archeops to put 1 reversal energy onto it, fulfilling its entire attack cost and allowing it to hit your opponent for 180, and of course 22 itself with its attack as well. But the key thing with that is that if you are in a Lugia mirror match, you can one-shot Lugia VSTAR just with that 1 attack of the Luxray, so can really come in clutch. I have not seen pretty much anybody play the deck this way in the TPCI regions, but the TPC regions seem to be favoring it heavily. And I do think Colorless Lugia will pick up a bit in popularity once this 151 set becomes legal, that did just release recently, because of the fact that you now have access to a card like the Mew EX. We also see that Weirdeer in the hand. If it becomes active, you can move as many energy cards you have in play to it from all of your Pokemon. So you can just put it down on the bench, slap a Jet Energy on it, forces it active, and it will load itself up pretty well. You can even use the Archeops to charge it up even more after that as well. So just a really great way to find a big one-shot at the end of the game. It's very reminiscent of how Miraidon operates in that it has the Raichu V as the closer of the game, where you try to just hit with Miraidons and Raikou the entire match, and then you use whatever energy you have remaining in play at the end of the game to take a big one-shot with the Raikou V. Same thing with the Weird Ear. Although I still prefer the single strike version of Lugia myself. I think that it just has a lot more power to it, but there is that consistency issue where you can't attach those single strike energies to anything but single strike Pokemon. So if you're playing pure colorless, you're going to have a lot easier of a time being able to charge up your attackers because they can all use the energies, any of the energies that are in the deck. The only thing is that the reversal energy only works as colored energy on the Luxray. So the only thing you can use to attack with the Luxray is the reversal energy when you're behind on prizes, but anything else in the deck only requires colorless energy. We do see that the Mirage Step Kirlia was found, which is the only Kirlia that is currently in deck, with all three of those Refinement Kirlias being in the prize cards. So if this Lugia has a boss's orders here, we'll basically just be able to win the game. You'd have to see like a double rare candy turn to even try to come back from this type of a start here if you're the Gardevoir player. And it's a lot harder to find those rare candies if you're not using Refinement every turn. So that's kind of the downside. You can play around not having the Kirlia by having the rare candies, but you can't find the rare candies without the Kirlia. So catch-22 there. So Lugia is using its Summoning Star to get out 2 more Archeops. We do have that Collapse Stadium in play too, is limiting the opponent's bench there. Your own bench is perfectly fine because you do have 2 Snorlax already on the bench. Did not even have to use Illuminion to set up those Archeops into the discard pile. We saw the first one was discarded off of an Ultra Ball, and then the second one was for the Read the Wind, which was the attack used on the previous turn. We're even going to see an Ino here. Probably won't make your opponent's hand any better or worse because, again, no Refinement Kirlias in the deck whatsoever. Sometimes it's okay if you're playing Gardevoir if you prize most of your Ralts. Like, even if you prize 3 Ralts, you could just evolve into Mirage Step as long as that one Ralts stays alive. And then you can Mirage Step out all the Kirlias and still be able to play the game. But when you prize all the Kirlias, that's the key factor to make you lose the game. You can even still win games if you prize Gardevoir EX, which is a conundrum to make happen. But I've done it. You just start Zacian and you attach and Roar the Sword, and then you just swing every turn until hopefully you take a prize and it's Gardevoir EX. We do see that the reversal energy did come down as the final energy attachment from an Archeops to this Lugia in the active spot. We are hitting for 220. There's no double turbos on that Lugia right now. And since he knows he's going to be ahead on prizes by taking the first prize, might as well put that reversal energy on just to cover the last single colorless cost on the Lugia VSTAR. Knowing that he's more than likely not going to be able to utilize the Luxray at all in this matchup. So here is the cool thing that this Gardevoir deck can do to buy time, and that is Memory Skip. So we do see that 60 HP Ralts in the active spot now. All he needs is a basic Psychic Energy, and he can use Memory Skip in order to force that Lugia to retreat. It won't be able to use its attack. So Memory Skip says it does 10 damage, and then you choose one of your opponent's active Pokemon's attacks, and they cannot use that attack on the next turn. Lugia only has one attack, so you choose the only attack it knows, and now it cannot attack at all in the next turn. So the only thing that would really be able to punish that is if your opponent just attaches Jet Energy from hand to the Snorlax, and then they're still going to be able to attack this turn even without having to retreat any of the energies off of the Lugia. But at least even if you're just going to be trying to stall for time here, you know, you can still force a retreat potentially if they don't have the Jet Energy, and then make them discard a couple of those energy cards. There are only so many energies you can play in the Lugia deck, and sometimes running them out of energy will be the way that you do it. And of course, the Jet Energy is in hand. It's a lot easier to find the Jet Energy in the Colorless Energy version because you can just play 4 Jet Energy if you really want to. I think 3 is probably the... Just off the top of my head, I feel like 3 Jet would be the correct number to play, but usually in the single strike Lugia versions, you play 2 at most, sometimes even just 1 Jet Energy, just because you have to really prioritize having those single strike energies in your deck. Sometimes you even want to play an Impact Energy, and you always want to have a V-Guard and a Gift Energy on one of your Tyrannitars or your Lugias, just to make sure that, you know, if they make it harder for them to go down, plus if they do go down, you get to draw a fresh hand up to 7. Makes them a little bit INO proof with that Gift Energy, which is really great. I think Gift Energy is a much more balanced card in the Lugia deck than it was in the Reggie deck previously. That was a pretty rude card to have to play around when it's always being attached to a single prizer like that. Looks like this Snorlax will stay asleep. It does have to flip 2 coins for sleep. It does put itself to sleep with its attack. And the first flip was Tails, so that's going to be that. We also saw the boss's orders brought up the Shining Arcana Gardevoir and knocked that out. So yes, this Ralts will be able to memory skip yet again, but the problem with that is there could always just be another Jet Energy to get around the sleep of the Snorlax. That's another reason why you would play at least 3 Jet Energies in this Colorless Lugia deck, because your Snorlax goes to sleep, you attach a Jet to your other Snorlax on your bench, and then all of a sudden you've gotten around your sleep and can attack again. So we do see the Super Rod is shuffling in the Gardevoir line that was just knocked out. We're going to re-evolve into the Mirage Step Kirlia and Rare Candy into the Gardevoir EX. We can actually take a knockout on the Snorlax this turn, and the opponent doesn't actually currently have a way to combat the Gardevoir EX, unless they're able to get quite a lot of energy into play and maybe Weird Ear it, but I think it's way too early to be going for that. I think maybe just another boss's orders play on the next turn would be best, but we did see that the Lugia deck did prize a boss, and it is within those top 4 prize cards, so he has not been able to find that yet, as long as he is taking prize cards in a correct manner. Yes, it is still in there, and of course we do see all 3 Kirlias still in those prize cards as well. Really great to see that that Burnett in the prize cards was not punishing whatsoever. And we do see a Jet is in hand as well for Lugia, so you can even just attach it to an Archeops and then use it to retreat to go back into the same Snorlax, but this Snorlax in the active might just go down to the Gardevoir. We will have to see. So Gardevoir could be making a comeback here. The only thing is that will we be able to pull a Kirlia off our prize cards in order to really get there? If we just see like another Rare Candy next turn into another Shining Arcana, plus find that Shining Arcana we shuffled back into the deck, so both of those Ralts and Kirlia evolve next turn, that would be really good. And you see we are already putting energies from the discard pile onto the Kirlia already to try to preload it up. And then using the Moonlight Hill, which is a stadium card we will not actually get until Paradox Rift. That was a gym promo, they call it in Japan, so they got it a little bit earlier than we will. You can discard a Psychic Energy from your hand to heal 30 from all your Pokemon, so he's using the ability of the Gardevoir EX to start loading up the Kirlia, then healing the Kirlia so that then even more energy can come down on it on the next turn. So really powerful card, makes Champions, or what's it called? Champions Festival. Not a relevant card in Gardevoir anymore. It was always a pretty decent card in my opinion. There were a lot of times where I felt like playing it over like something like maybe Temple of Sinnoh was a little bit better, especially before, well, no, I guess. But, the Champions Festival, the problem with that is you have to have 6 Pokemon in play in order for it to work, and that was the difficulty I was having with it. So you can always get exactly 1 extra energy in play if you can get the Champions Festival off, but Otherwise, oh, and you see Drapion V is actually being eyed up here. It is being showed on the screen. So if this Lugia deck were to play Drapion, it can actually load it up entirely with colorless energy cards in order to take a one-shot on this Gardevoir EX, and I really like the idea of that. That seems like a really good thing to include in your colorless Lugia. You have an out to Mew VMAX as well as an out to Gardevoir EX. Any way you can take a cheap one-shot on a Pokemon like that you otherwise normally would not be able to is a pretty good play in my book. The only problem is starting it. Or having to use it in, you know, a matchup that is not, you know, against a Psychic Pokemon like that. Like, you start it versus, like, Lost Box, and you're having a bad time. We do see the Luminion is going to go into the deck and find the boss's orders, so we are going to go probably for that Kirlia again, and we're going to ignore the Gardevoir EX for now, because the Gardevoir EX not doing a ton of damage. 190 is perfectly fine. The Lugia can take that very easily. But Luminion finding that boss, I do assume we're going after the Kirlia again. I'm not sure if our player on the right did identify that the triple Kirlia is prized, but you would assume at this point that it would have to be, right? Like, why else would you go for the Mirage Step Kirlia specifically unless all three of your refinement ones are in the prize cards? Like, it just doesn't make any logical sense unless you were actually using Memory Skip as the attack. And here comes the Drapion. We are going to bench that with a gift energy on it. I think you could have held it another turn. And of course the Collapse Stadium was taken out of play, so you do have 5 bench spots again for both players, of course. So there is room for that on the bench. But yeah, Drapion coming down now seems a little bit risky because your opponent could just go Rare Candy, Shining Arcana, loaded up Reversal Energy, Boss Knockout. And yes, the Reversal Energy does dissuade that a little bit, but your active also has a Gift Energy. Yeah, Gift Energy on the Drapion, Gift Energy on the active, Gift Energy on the Snorlax, just gifts everywhere. Gifting yourself as many cards as possible. I guess maybe he feels like he's so far ahead in the game, board state-wise, that... and it looks like we did find a Refinement Kirlia off the one prize card we took, so we do have 2 Kirlias we have access to now in the deck. Of course, one of those going down on the last turn, but I think he, maybe our player on the right with the Lugia, he prioritizes just being able to draw cards. So putting that Gift Energy down on a Drapion, maybe making it a target so that an Archeops won't become a thing, plus then you can draw some cards. But it looks like the Gardevoir player is still going to choose to go after an Archeops. So even with just an attach for turn and 1 Archeops, we can see that Drapion still get powered up. So I think if I'm this player on the right, that's definitely what I go for this turn. And we do see that that is the promotion here. We're going to use our one and only Archeops left in play, and we are going to find literally any energy. Oh, of course, we also have that Therapy energy in deck as well, which will allow those Snorlaxes to not be susceptible to the sleep or any other special conditions. So Snorlax can attack and, like, not affect itself with its own attack. But we do still have another double turbo in the deck. You can play 4 of those since all of your attackers do just require colorless energy. Again, except for the Luxray. But that makes it so 1 Archeops can just charge it up with 2 energy cards. Now it has the 4 total energy out of those 3 energy cards needed in order to attack, and we are just able to damage one of our Pokemon by 60. We're going to choose the Snorlax because that's the thinnest Pokemon. Surprisingly, Snorlax is the thinnest Pokemon on the board that's not named Archeops. You don't really want to damage your Archeops usually, but I think it would be fine to damage the Archeops instead of the Snorlax. Either way, I think either one of those 1 prizers is perfectly fine. This Gardevoir deck isn't really doing anything too problematic right now. But again, we're going to need to see a Shining Arcana active and then Rare Candy Gardevoir EX on the bench just to take a knockout in order to go down to 2 remaining prize cards, and then your opponent just still has 2 guys that can just knock out that Gardevoir either way. So this is pretty much game over. If this was a best of 3, you would have wanted to scoop by now, because you would, I mean, you're already 20 minutes into the match, right? We got 5 minutes left. But again, this is best of 1. No reason not to scoop. Maybe your opponent could just like super misplay. You could get the knockout on the active, and then your opponent could, I don't know, not take the knockout on your active. They could just say pass on accident, and then all of a sudden you get the win by like bossing up Luminion or something. Sometimes you have to play to your outs, and sometimes your outs are just hope your opponent plays really, really bad. And hey, I've won games that way. But again, best of 3, it's not worth playing to hoping your opponent misplays unless it's like game 3. Why is my playlist not playing? Come on now. Alright, so the music died for a second. I haven't had that happen in a little bit. I'm a professional. Okay, we're going to boss up the Archeops. Interesting decision. Okay, music is fixed. We boss up the Archeops, and then we just have like the retreat, and then that's the game. So yeah. Nothing much more to say about that. And again, I do believe that they do their pairings. They don't do it on paper anymore. They just submit their match results on the phone, which is really cool. Something that I would like to be doing in the future around our parts. But hope you guys enjoyed. As always, do not forget to comment, like, and subscribe as it says next to me. And we will see you guys next time for the next round of this Champions League.